riding the fine line between danger and glory. The finest Grand National drivers perform at Daytona, next on USA. From the Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida, the USA Cable Network presents the Daytona Twin 125-mile qualifying races. The Daytona Twin 125s are being brought to you in part by Levi's Jeans, cords, and shirts for quality and style you can count on. By Mobil 1, the oil that saves you gas, and more. And by Toyota, who reminds you that it's a good feeling to buckle up for safety. There are banners speckled throughout the city of Daytona Beach, Florida, saying welcome race fans, and I offer the same greeting to you from the famous Tri-Oval at the Daytona International Speedway. I'm Al Trautwig for USA Sports, and today, in conjunction with CBS Sports, we present the Twin 125s, the very important qualifying races for the famous Daytona 500. As you can see behind me, the problem has been rain on and off for the past 2 weeks here in southern Florida, and they are probably trying to dry off the course as best as possible for the drivers to compete in these two races today. Speed Weeks is winding down, but the interest here in Daytona is revving up for the excitement leading up to the grand jewel, the Daytona 500. And we are happy to be here on USA for the second year in a row. Right now, we start things off by going to Ken Squire of CBS Sports.
Thank you, Al Trautwig. Under the most nasty conditions here today, windy and raining all morning, we are getting set for the Twin 125-mile races that will decide the majority of the field for Sunday's Daytona 500. These are always the most frenetic and sometimes the most dangerous events of Speed Weeks. And the reason being that 36 cars will start in each of these events, and there are only 14 positions which will be garnered for the Daytona 500. Thus far in Speed Weeks, they've already collected the front row. Ricky Rudd, of course, at 198 miles per hour, will be the pole sitter, and beside him will be Jeff Bodine. Both of those racers must start in these 125-mile races. So we'll have Ricky Rudd in the first 125, Jeff Bodine on the pole for the second. Then 14 more positions will be assumed from this field for the 500. The rest of the positions for the Daytona 500 go back to time trials. But what this means is they really have to stand on it, make one pit stop, hopefully, and get them home and get them in to the $1 million Daytona 500. Working with me is David Hobbs. You've seen a lot of these races. You can speak to just exactly how frenetic and how dangerous they are.
Well, as you say, Ken, these are very desperate races with 36 cars out there going for only 14 spots. This is at the end of their long winter layoff, so the drivers are a bit short of practice, and even more so this year than usual because it's been raining most of the week. The groove got washed away last night, so there's going to be some pretty hairy driving out there, and to make matters worse, there's a very, very strong freshening wind coming out of the east, blowing them into turn 2, which is the worst possible combination they can have. So these 125-mile races are going to be pretty hairy today.
And of course, as always at Daytona, where 1 second is equal to about 300 feet on the track, the pit stops will be of great consequence. And covering the action there is the two-time national champion, Ned Jarrett.
Ken, we're standing by with Bobby Allison, who a year ago was really everything was going his way. He could do no wrong, but it's been a little different here during Speed Weeks of 1983. He crashed a car, demolished it in the Busch Clash, brought another car in. The very next day, crashed it in a practice run. So, Bobby, 1983 is not as good as 1982.
Well, it sure isn't starting out as good. All we can hope for is a poor start will lead to a better finish, Ned. We're on our third car. Gary Nelson called it 22C. It's a Monte Carlo. It's an excellent race car. It's one of our cars from last year that's been updated to the 83 configuration from Monte Carlo. And we feel it's an excellent race car. We don't think we've taken a step backwards at all. It just was a car that was outfitted with brake coolers and things like that that we don't need here at Daytona.
Now, you'll be in the second 125-mile qualifier here this afternoon. You haven't had very many laps of practice with this particular car.
No, with this car, we've only had a few, but the car is very similar to the other cars, and in the few laps that I did run it, it felt very good to me. It handled good, it ran good. Our speed in qualifying was respectable, considering that we didn't do any of the qualifying tricks. We just went out with the race set up, wide open, ready to go race and put our qualifying lap in. And we feel that we, of course, would like to have seen a higher mile per hour, but we feel like the mile per hour was respectable. It's in the hunt, and we just go from here and do the best we can.
Well, better luck from here on out, Bobby. Larry Newberry standing by on pit road with the pole setter, Ricky Rudd.
Ned, the pole setter and a guy who's had a week that's dramatically different from the week of Bobby Allison. You've had a very nice and comfortable week, haven't you, Ricky Rudd?
Well, we really have in one respect. You know, the car ran awful good for us. The crew did a good job putting that Piedmont Chevrolet on the pole for the Daytona 500. But, you know, we're really still working on the car. We've been caught a little bit short with the weather situation here. And this 125 race is getting ready to start up, and we really don't know what we have. We've changed quite a few things on the race car, hoping that we have improved the handling on it. And we really won't find out till we get involved, get right in the middle of this race, and we'll know shortly.
Ricky, you know, 40 cars went faster than 190 miles an hour this week. These qualifying races are so critical for so many of the other teams, but not so for you. Your position is locked. Will your race strategy be different?
Well, you know, I do have an extra added advantage. I can have the right to, if I have trouble, if the race gets real wild looking, I have the option to park the car if I have to. We didn't plan to do that. We planned on coming here to race, and the 125 was one of the races we'd like to be able to win the race. Like I say, getting back to the rain situation, we've been caught short a little bit on the weather, and we're having to gamble a little bit on the chassis setups, and we're not really sure. It really depends on how the car performs out there in the race as far as what we'll do.
Ken, this man has never won a Grand National stock car race, but I think a lot of people will agree this is probably his very best shot.
It absolutely is for the Richard Childress car number 3. One of the NASCAR support classes continues around the 2.5-mile high bank right now, trying to try this track out for the 50-lap, 125-mile twin races that approximately 30 minutes in length to decide who will make it into the field for the 25th annual $1 million Daytona 500. And we'll be back with some starting lineups in a moment. For the first of the twin 125-mile NASCAR Grand National qualifying races for the Daytona 500. In some warm-up laps here, trying to dry out the track. Take a look at the weather conditions at Daytona Beach. You see the temperature in the 60s. The wind, not so much a factor as it was earlier this morning, David Hobbs.
Well, it seems to me, standing on the roof here, that the wind is actually a lot stronger than it says on there, but I think it will be a bit of a factor, blowing the cars up towards the wall in turn 2, which is always a bad place. It blows across the infield into that corner. But the worst thing is that their racing groove, what there was of it this week, has all been washed away.
Track analysis as you look across Lake Lloyd and down into turn number 2. 2.5-mile tri-oval, so simple, so deceptive, so deceiving. That 18-degree area of the tri-oval at the start-finish line, the cars seem to lift there, and they literally float through there at over 190 miles per hour. And the 31-degree banks, if you followed racing at all, you know their history well.
Well, again, the wind caused problems in qualifying earlier on this week, and it's a fairly strong wind today, and these cars have all got different size spoilers, which NASCAR are experimenting with just a little bit. And so a lot of people are going to be trying these out for the first time today in a full-scale draft situation.
35 cars will now start. There has been one retiree. Ronnie Sanders of Fayetteville, Georgia, did not come out. Cars headed back into that tri-oval there out of turn number 4. And here is your starting grid. Ricky Rudd, for the 3rd time in his career, on the pole, this time for the Daytona 500. He must start this race, does not have to finish it, and he still has the front row. Joe Rutland, who finished 3rd a year ago in the 500, is 2nd. Then comes Darrell Waltrip, still looking for his first Daytona 500-mile victory, and Kyle Petty has qualified very well. Coming to row number 3, it's Bill Elliott, who had some sensational second-place finishes in his Ford last year. Beside him is Benny Parsons' younger brother, Phil Parsons. Then in row 4, the incredible A.J. Foyt, who played such an instrumental part in that victory in the 24 Hours of Daytona just a couple of weeks back. And beside him, Buddy Baker, who ran the fastest 500-mile race in history on this track in 1980. Going to row number 5, it's Dale Earnhardt, and he has beside him the Silver Fox, winner of 105 Grand National races, David Pearson. Moving to row 6, Harry Gant, the Bandit, who won 2 Grand National races last year, and from Sanford, North Carolina, one of the great veterans, J.D. McDuffie. In row number 7, it's Tommy Gale of McKeesport, Pennsylvania. And number 4, Connie Saylor. Remember 2 years ago in one of these 125-mile races, floated upside down 300 feet down the back straightaway. Sanders, a DNS as we mentioned. Then comes Joe Boer in row 8. Moving along into row number 9, it's Buddy Arrington, one of the only Chryslers, an Imperial no less, out there. Starting on the inside, Ron Bouchard, who won the Talladega race on CBS a couple of years back, starts on the outside of that row. Row 10 is Del McCowart and Dave Marcus. Watch out for Marcus. He won at Richmond, Virginia a year ago. Row 11, the ARCA 200 winner this past Sunday, Farrell Harris of Pikeville, Kentucky, and Phil Duffy. Row 12 is Ralph Jones and Ronnie Thomas, a former Grand National Rookie of the Year. Row 13 is Clark Dwyer and Steve Moore. Then Elliott Forbes Robinson, the Trans Am Sports Car Champion, is on the inside of row 14 with David Simcoe flanking him. Moving to row 15, James Hilton. So many years out here trying. He's actually finished third in the Daytona 500. Mike Potter is beside him. Row 16 is Dean Roper. And from Minnesota comes Blackie Wengeren. Going to row 17, Bruce Jacoby, a name well remembered for a lot of years in open cockpit competition. Giacomo Giacomo beside him. Then comes Dick Skillen. And from Quebec City, Laurent Rioux. Down on pit road, here's a report from Ned Jarrett.
Ken, the track might be dry, but it's a different situation on pit road here, and a lot of the crew members are a little concerned about the dampness on pit road because of the rain that we've had earlier here today, so they've cautioned all of their people and their drivers to be very careful when the cars come into the pits, because these tires that they use are not treaded tires like we would see on the highway, so they don't adhere to wet pavement very well. So they've cautioned all of the members up and down pit road here to be very careful when they come into the pits.
We're getting ready for green. These pace laps have been taken at a very leisurely 97.4 miles per hour. The record they're going against in the 125-mile races, 1970. The race record has stood against 25 challenges. Cale Yarborough has the record. He set it with the Wood Brothers, number 21, at 183 miles per hour. Pace car is coming down, dives onto pit road, and as it ducks in there to the safety of pit road, the field is ready for the first 125-mile race. Joe Casamano drops the green flag on the Uno 125-mile qualifier number 1. And here comes the avalanche spilling down into the first turn. As they break, Joe Ruttman is on the outside. Remember, he placed third here a year ago. He's carrying the same number 98, with which his brother won the Indianapolis 500 back in 1952. And Ruttman right up against the wall as they go to 190 miles per hour. 3 wide, down the inside, Darrell Waltrip makes his move. Waltrip going out in front. Elliott going to second, and Buddy Baker. Buddy Baker with a new team this year, the Wood Brothers, goes into third spot.
And Bill Elliott's right behind him, and Darrell Waltrip's making a brave start in this race. He's the only 4-time winner of these qualifying heats in a fairly short career, relatively speaking. And he's got a good lock on the lead at the moment. Field streaming out behind him, down to single file.
Winner of 12 Grand National races last year, Darrell Waltrip, the national champion, defending champion, goes back into the first turn. Right on the rear bumper as the speed goes all the way to the top. The tack banging away on the red mark, goes out of turn number 2. Ruttman is right there with him with a very stout car prepared by Buddy Parrott. And the surprise, look at that Ford. Had real trouble qualifying, 5 miles an hour off the pace, but in the draft, Buddy Baker sticks right in there. That's Bill Elliott at number 9, running in second. There's Ron Bouchard fighting his way up through.
Well, Ron Bouchard's really one of those guys that could be on the bubble here. He qualified 18th. He's got to get in that top 14 to make the 500, but I'm sure he will be able to. But those front 3 cars, with Buddy Baker, the number 21 car there, is just make a bit of a break.
One car going down early in the event.
Car number 54.
Now here's an interesting situation. The Chevrolet Monte Carlo, the SS, runs up in front, but there are 2 Fords running in the 2nd and 3rd position. Bill Elliott, Dawsonville, Georgia, young driver. His 2 brothers, his crew on that car. They've done a magnificent job with it. They hang right in there, and now you see, pulling back to 4th, right on the rear bumper, number 98, Ruttman. Coming around to complete lap number 3 of 50. On the point, Darrell Waltrip leading. Back to the line they come. 2nd spot belongs to Elliott. 3rd is Baker. 4th is Ruttman. Going 5th is Kyle Petty with A.J. Foyt in that red car right behind Kyle Petty running to stop it. Now Baker is down the inside. Baker crowding low, making a move. Getting around, he'll go up to 2nd, and moving to 3rd is Ruttman. Elliott drops to 4th.
These four guys will be anxious to stay in line astern like that to give themselves the best drafting possibility of pulling away from the rest of the field. But A.J. Foyt going down the inside there.
Car number 54, Simcoe, retires. First retiree from the actual race. One car was a DNS. A.J. Foyt has taken over in 5th. Foyt carrying his Indianapolis car number 14 for the Daytona 500 this year. Waltrip in front.
And Foyt is bringing with him Dale Earnhardt in another Ford who had such a strong race here last week.
Rushing along out of turn number 2. You're now watching them off the 31-degree west bank of the Daytona International Speedway. Backstretch. And at the bat of an eye, they're down that back straightaway headed for turn number 3, and Buddy Baker goes out in front. Joe Ruttman goes to 2nd place, falling to 3rd, and here comes A.J. Foyt on the inside. Foyt is pulling up. He goes into 4th as he runs wheel to wheel with Bill Elliott on the outside, out of turn 4, back to the tri-oval to complete lap number 5.
Now Foyt's really got to be looking for a spot to get back in there. Otherwise he could get left behind as they all stream by on the outside.
He'll find a hole.
He's got to find one somewhere because he's suddenly dropped from 4th back to, where is he now, 9th.
A.J. was right beside Bobby Allison in practice the other day when a car in front of Allison blew an engine and destroyed Allison's 2nd car. Bobby Allison working his 3rd car. Look at this, 3 abreast on the back straightaway with Waltrip on the low side. Ruttman going to the lead, but Waltrip takes it back, and here comes Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt into 2nd. Ruttman back to 3rd. Holding 4th, Buddy Baker. Scampering around those high banks as they nudge and push, driving these cars for every bit they can get on this first 125-mile qualifier. We now have a 12-car freight train for the lead into turn number 1. And a bad crash coming out of turn 2. One car has somersaulted several times and been destroyed on the back straightaway. I believe it's 2. Car number 05 going side over side and end over end several times. Bruce Jacoby has badly crashed to the back straightaway. You can see the remains of the car flung all through there. Bruce came down here without a ride and talked to us for some time about working with our CBS crew for this race, and then picked up a ride just 2 days ago.
Well, that looks a pretty horrifying crash. I don't think I've ever seen a NASCAR car look in such bad shape. And that was coming off that turn 2, which is the corner that we were looking for a bit of trouble from because of the wind. And it certainly seems to have caught Bruce Jacoby, number 05, there out.
Let's see, he was not, of course, running with the leaders. He was well back in the field. Bruce Jacoby's car destroyed. I must tell you that I have seen Bruce in another accident similar to this, as bad, at Charlotte, North Carolina. He went end over end about 9 times several years ago, was badly injured, and at that time retired, but he has wanted to come back, got an opportunity here, and at the last moment had an opportunity to get in this race. There's Stevie Waltrip, who is scoring her husband, has heard the word that there has been a bad crash, but this time it does not affect her. The twin 125-mile qualifying race number 1 is under caution in lap number 8 at the Daytona International Speedway. With the field completing 12 laps now under caution from a bad crash by Bruce Jacoby, let's go to the pits and a report from Ned Jarrett.
Ken, we're standing by at the track hospital. Bruce Jacoby has been taken to the track hospital here for observation. We expect them to be transferring him to the Halifax hospital here in just a few moments. That's the word that we have here for further observation. Now let's go to pit road with Larry Newber.
Ned, Bruce Jacoby is one of the drivers that a lot of fans like to be around and like to see. Some may say that Bruce Jacoby over the years has been one of the guys who has filled out the field, but he's always been very loyal and very dedicated to the sport of automobile racing. He was involved in the transition a few years back in IndyCar racing when they went from the front engine to the rear engine cars. He's tried for quite a number of years to qualify for the Indianapolis 500-mile race up north, but never succeeded. His first love in recent years has been down here in the south running stock cars, but he has always kept his ties to the north. He's very closely aligned with the Potter family back home in Indianapolis, where the 3 Potter boys, or all 3 brothers, run actively on the USAC midget division. But Bruce Jacoby has been trying very, very desperately to get into this Daytona 500 field for the last 3 or 4 seasons.
The remains of car number 05, which was running 31st at the time of the incident, coming out of turn number 2. It has rained here day after day in Daytona. It would appear that maybe something just happened coming off. The car got caught in that mud off turn number 2. And
well, this is the problem. When it's been raining this heavily, the infield is absolutely saturated at the moment. I've never seen it as wet as it is. And, of course, you've only just got to get a wheel in that at that sort of speed, and over she goes. There's no question it's going to happen. 2-3 years ago, we saw a Cale Yarber spin there and get on the mud when it was also very wet, but he was extremely lucky. The car didn't roll, but he slid for hundreds and hundreds of feet, throwing up spray and mud. But unfortunately, Bruce Jacoby wasn't quite so lucky.
The All-American Holmes Pontiac by Bruce Jacoby in this race from Indianapolis, Indiana, destroyed here in the early going. Coming by to complete 13 laps, to complete 14 laps, 36 remaining. Field coming down to take green. Resumption of the twin 125-mile qualifying race number 1 for the Daytona 500. 14 positions available. Caution brought out by a terrible crash by Bruce Jacoby. Going back into the first turn, it is Darrell Waltrip on the point. In the second position, it is car number 15, Dale Earnhardt. And riding third is Joe Ruttman. Then you see a 15-car length interval back to the 4th place car, Buddy Baker. Kyle Petty is right there, running next. In the 5th position, then Bill Elliott in the 6th. Running 7th is A.J. Foyt. Going 8th is Ricky Rudd, who sat on the pole. And 9th at the present time is David Pearson, with 10th Ron Bouchard. Out of turn 4 and back to the line they come another time. Leader is Waltrip. Into the 4th position goes Kyle Petty as he moves around Buddy Baker. Kyle Petty with a whole new look on his car this year, carrying number 7, not the familiar Petty numbers of 42 or 41, 43. Number 7, the number with a complete new team. Kyle Petty running forward.
Well, those front 3 cars were making a bit of a break for it, but Kyle and Buddy Baker have closed right up on him as they go into turn 3.
And Bill Elliott is back in 6th position, knocking on the door. There are the leaders. Out of turn 4, off the 31-degree banking, 1,600 foot straight away to the tri-oval. This is, by many people's consideration, the fastest part of the track, over 200 miles per hour right here, inches apart. In the 7th position, Ricky Rudd, and A.J. Foyt is in 8th. Now Foyt drops to the inside of the red automobile, and he picks up a spot.
Ricky Rudd getting awfully close to the wall as they came off the tri-oval, and very high there as they go through 1 and 2. A.J. Foyt alongside him, again getting left out of the draft. Right behind A.J. is Ron Bouchard.
And here's Bouchard back on the outside, and dropping back to 9th goes A.J. as Bouchard shot around the outside. Ron Bouchard at number 47 from Pittsburgh, Massachusetts, making his presence felt now among the leaders in this first 125-mile qualifying race. Back on the point, Waltrip in front. He's never won the Daytona 500. Remember in '79 when he finished 2nd to Richard Petty in that incredible finish? Well, he wants to change it all. 112 races. This is the one track where he hasn't won the big one.
He keeps winning these qualifying races, but he can't win the 500, which is obviously the one he really wants to win badly.
51 Grand National races have been won by Darrell Waltrip. He is the big breakthrough in Grand National racing. Here he is in front. Right behind him comes the man who was Rookie of the Year 1 year and then won the national championship the next, Dale Earnhardt. That's Darrell Waltrip, your leader. And he's been out in front right from the very beginning.
Smiling Darrell Waltrip there, but I bet his face isn't setting that same smile quite at the moment.
0.7 of a second separate the first 11 cars. Past the stands, they will be packed come Sunday for the 25th annual $1 million Daytona 500. Trouble. Del McCowart's car is down on the inside. There's a couple more, and caution is coming out. Field racing back to the line. They are down at turns 1 and 2. And everybody is lifting. No one's taking any chances. You can see them coming off the throttle a bit and holding it as they come around. Those crew chiefs on their radios to their drivers. So we've got big problems up ahead. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Ken, we're still standing by at the track hospital. As you can see, they're moving Bruce Jacoby now to put him in the ambulance to take him to the local Halifax hospital. His wife, Yana, just came in a few moments ago to be with him, so they'll be transporting him over there for further observation.
Delma Coward of Savannah, Georgia, in a Buick automobile, and Mike Potter of Johnson City, Tennessee, in an Oldsmobile, involved in that collision in turn number 3, which brought out the second caution of the race. We are now working the 22nd lap. That means we've completed 55 miles in the first of the twin 125-mile qualifiers at the Daytona International Speedway. After 21 laps, a wholesale change of positions. You see some of the cars that are running up in front now and trying to stay in it. Preparing for the restart. Second restart in the twin 125-mile qualifying race number 1 for the Daytona 500. In single file down into the east banking they go with Buddy Baker on the point. Ricky Rudd, the man who will sit on the pole Sunday, qualifying at over 198 miles per hour there in second. Remember that Cale Yarborough actually turned a lap at 200 miles an hour, but in his second lap of qualifying destroyed the car right here where these cars are running now. And since he had to re-qualify in a new car, that old mark could not stand. So it will be with an asterisk. That record will go in the book. Well, here they come, braking as they get the green flag from Harold Tinder, and what an assault on the trioval.
Well, we're getting down to the wire on this race. There's only another 30-odd laps to go. And as we've already stressed, this is a very, very important race because you've absolutely got to finish in the top 14 to guarantee yourself a spot in the 500.
Key player A.J. Foyt picked up about 4 automobiles. A.J. is on the bottom side, and he is flogging that car out of turn number 2.
But again, if he's not careful going down that very fast back chute, he's going to get left out by that row of cars up by the wall. There we see Dale Earnhardt right behind Paul Sitter. Ricky Rudd as they go through turns 3 and 4.
Car number 73, Moore, is smoking. He'll be retiring from the event. Bad break for that young man. He's made a couple of stabs here before. Steve Moore. Field comes rolling down to complete. 25. They are completing lap 24. One more lap to the halfway point. One more lap to the halfway. Ricky Rudd out in front. He is sponsored by an airlines. Right now he is flying. That car number 3. Another car smoking and slowing down. Connie Saylor in trouble.
Connie Saylor nearly had a lot of people in trouble there. He slowed down dramatically and pushed a lot of people high going through turns 1 and 2, but everybody got by all right.
Former Grand National Rookie of the Year out in front, and there may be a consultation flag coming out. There you see the apparatus by which they tell them on a light as well as the black flag they are to come in here at the racetrack. Back to the line another time comes Ricky Rudd of Chesapeake, Virginia in the Richard Childress car. Halfway on the field. Halfway being indicated in the field. Dale Earnhardt, who had such a great year back in 1980. Then it all fell apart on him. 1979 Rookie of the Year. He's right there beating on the door in the Bud Moore car number 15. Ricky Rudd, the baby-faced kid with the iron foot, stays up in front. Car number 66, Phil Parsons, on pit road, brother of Benny Parsons, in his first Grand National race. Brings his car in, say sayonara to his chances here unless he has a very fast time. Back straight away as we watch the moments on Phil Parsons' car. It is Ricky Rudd leading. Second spot. A.J. Foyt has moved to third. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Ken, we're still standing by the hospital. The report is, we did report that they had taken Bruce Jacoby to the local hospital. One of his crew members came by and said that, of course, he was breathing, that he was unconscious, but they're taking him for further observation, and his wife, Yana, has gone with him to the Halifax hospital.
Thank you, Ned. Front-running position is Ricky Rudd. Second is Dale Earnhardt, and then the giant, A.J. Foyt, lies third in the field. Buddy Baker is in fourth. Sensationally fast lap. 2 cautions. Here comes Earnhardt into first at turn 3. A.J. Foyt comes up into second spot.
And they all take Buddy Baker through with him into third spot, putting Ricky Rudd back into fourth spot. Just shows how quickly the positions can change in these tremendously high-speed races around the oval here.
Back to the tri-oval. Earnhardt in first. Here's Foyt nosing down to the inside. Crowd on their feet, as well they should be. Here they are, side by side, back to the first turn. And Super Tex takes the lead in the 125. AJ goes in front. Earnhardt is in second. Buddy Baker is in fourth. Kyle Petty running a tremendous fit. Then comes Joe Ruttman in sixth. The last time that A.J. Foyt won a 125-mile qualifier here at Daytona was in his Buick 1978. No chance at the record of this one that Cale Yarborough set in 1970 with 2 cautions. That record of 183 has withstood another challenge. Unfortunately, by cautions. Talk about excitement. Look at that field going back to turn number 1. You'd think this race was worth $100,000 to win.
Well, of course, in a way it is, because if you don't do well in this one, you don't even get in the big one.
There's Harry Gant in the 33 car on the tail end of that draft, running in 11th position. Right beside him is David Pearson. Back with the leaders. Foyt first, Earnhardt second, Darrell Waltrip third, Buddy Baker fourth, Kyle Petty driving that fifth spot. Then Ruttman is in sixth, Ricky Rudd is in seventh. On the back end of the lead draft, Harry Gant in the Bandit continues to watch them.
Well, Harry Gant is another of those guys who's got to finish well up in this race, because his qualifying speed of 192 miles an hour just might not, or certainly wouldn't guarantee him a spot in this race. So he's got to finish in the top 14. Gant is being shown 9th overall. I want to make a correction. I said 11th. He is 9th overall. It is a 9-car draft to the back straightaway. He can stay in that position. He's in pretty good shape. There's old AJ himself, Dale Earnhardt. Darrell Waltrip coming down the inside as they go into 3. Buddy Baker high, Darrell low, and behind Darrell Waltrip there, number 099, that's Bill Elliott in his Ford. A.J. Foyt gave that car number 14 to Cale Yarborough to drive in the Clash, a race among the 16 pole cars of a year ago. Just turned it over to A.J., or rather to Cale, after Cale's car had turned over and gone upside down backwards into the wall at 200 miles per hour. Tremendous esprit de corps among these drivers, and now here's A.J. leading this event, looking to win it, as he did for the Wood Brothers back in 1972 come Sunday. The all-time legend of American motor racing has never looked better. Here he is right in front with Earnhardt in second, right on the rear deck lid. Back to that 9th and 10th place battle. Ron Bouchard in number 47, Bill Elliott in number 9. Now, Ron Bouchard really has got to do well, because his qualifying speed was only in 191 mile an hour. That certainly won't get him into race unless he finishes in the top 14. That battle is further back. That is the 11th place battle. The 9 and 47 are just off that first group of automobiles. They somehow got separated after that second restart, and they'll be very lucky. Although if they really keep drafting really close together, they just might be able to drag themselves back to that 9-car draft for the lead, which A.J. Foyt is still leading. When they come by Earnhardt. And when they come by this time, 32 laps will be complete. 18 laps to go. They will have completed 80 miles. The man in the bubble right now is car number 89. That is Dean Roper. Dean Roper back there, and you see just in front of him Elliott Forbes Robinson in a car from the state of Maine, number 23, entered by the Bear brothers from up in Oxford Plains. Back with the leaders another time. Can Foyt stay there? Wily gentleman from Houston, Texas, stays out in front. You think that old A.J. is getting a little long in years and mellow. He comes out like he did in the 24 hours and puts it on everybody. He certainly seems to have mellowed down a bit, but he sure as hell to drive a racing car still. Look at this 65, Joe Burrow coming into the pits extremely fast, nearly lost control as he got on that wet pit road. Managed to pull it off all right though, but there's old A.J. Foyt. There we see him pulling up, but it was a bit of a hairy entrance. 10th place car in the race is Ron Bouchard. Back to 11th is fallen car number 9, Elliott, as you watch the leaders. Lap leader car going down through, looks like the Roger Hamby entry. pushing and jockeying for position. They don't want to get out of line because you've only got to get alongside these guys and you just immediately drop right back.
Back to Larry Nuber in the pits.
Leonard Wood, Buddy Baker has been close to the front, but it looks like he has not gone for the lead. Is that intentional?
Well, like I said, he's got a gear in there that's better for drafting than it is to lead. And he's just going to kind of set back in, try to feel everybody out. And actually, we need a little more gear in it to lead. And I don't know how he's going to turn out when we start running for the finish.
If he's doing all that watching, are we saying he's already beginning to plan strategy for the last lap?
Oh, I'm sure he's trying to feel everybody out and to see how fast each one is and to see where to try to pass each one, you know. And you do this early, you know, so when it comes down to the last few laps, you know which way to go.
The big tracks, Ken, are one of Buddy's specialties. I have a feeling he may be somebody to watch, particularly the last 2 laps.
21 Baker riding fourth. Waltrip sneaks a peek at first place, pulls back in. Number 11, Waltrip. New colors for Waltrip this year, but the same determination. 5th spot, Kyle Petty. What a run. The 3rd generation of Petty's is making this 25th anniversary. His grandfather won the first Daytona 500 in 1959. And now the newest generation to the competition. Here's Blackie Wengren's car slowing down. Minnesota driver having some problems here today. Back with the leaders into turn number 1. Foyt on the point. Earnhardt willing to play it in 2nd. Wait, lurking back there in 3rd. Waltrip in the Junior Johnson prepared car.
I think everybody's pretty much prepared at the front at the moment to just keep the status quo. They don't want any more yellow flags if they can possibly avoid it. And as long as they all finish in this position, they'll be okay. But we're going to see some actions as we get down to the last lap with so many cars bunched so close together.
Here they come off the corner again. I talked to Junior Johnson last night. Did you ever put any pressure on Darrell Waltrip? I said, no, not as long as he wins. This is the one he has to win. Back to the tri-oval, down into the turn 1. Foyt stays right in front, rides high, then ducks down on the 31-degree banking. Very steady line. You can see him letting that car up just a little. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Ken, Ricky Rudd, of course, has the fastest car here this week, proven by the fact that he'll be sitting on the pole for the Daytona 500, and that position is secure. That's one reason that he's content to be sitting back there running in 7th position right now. We talked to one of his crew members, asked him if there's anything wrong. He said no. He said, we're just taking it easy. We don't want to tear the car up because we have our starting position for the Daytona 500.
It is a test bed for those fellows in the front row. For the rest of them, it is a matter of sheer desperation. Back to the line they come, and Kyle Petty begins to make a move under Darrell Waltrip out of the tri-oval. It's Kyle Petty on the inside, number 7. Waltrip on the outside for 3rd position. Directly in front is Foyt and Earnhardt. In turn number 1. Foyt and Earnhardt trying to draw away as 11 and 7 run side by side. There's a 7-11 combination for you down the back straightaway.
A very good 7-11 combination, but look, by running side by side, how they've given A.J. Foyt and Dale Earnhardt, they've suddenly given them about a 15-car length lead.
The car on the bubble in qualifying, Elliott, Forbes, Robinson on the bubble trying to put a lap or move by the number 64. Remember, he had trouble earlier, maybe a lap down. Number 78 says sayonara to the event. Slowing down, coming in Richie Skillen's car. Back with the leaders. Going to turn number 1. Young man enjoying all the action here today.
This is the local rock station.
Now, because that Kyle has run side by side with Waltrip, the 2 leaders have drawn away. What a break for A.J. Foyt and for Dale Earnhardt. That's what they wanted to have happen, and they get this break.
It's always a danger in this sort of racing to stay around too long alongside someone. It's such a temptation to race them. But if you can't get by on the first slingshot, for goodness sake, try and get back behind them again. Otherwise, you can leave you all behind.
Lap number 38. Average speed in that lap, 191.5 miles per hour. Still, Foyt stays in front. A.J. Foyt's number 14 started 7th. A Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Then comes that Ford in 2nd place, and it's the grand old battle between Ford and General Motors.
There's Buddy Baker going low into turns 1 and 2, trying to get round Darrell Waltrip, and he succeeded too.
Baker back to 3rd, so you have Chevrolets 1 and 4, Ford Fords running second and third in this first 125-mile qualifier. 10 cars running in the lead lap. Back to turn number 3. Earnhardt looks like he might want to take a shot at it. 10 laps to go and they come by this time. 10 to go and they come by.
They're going to start some serious assessing of the situation at this stage now. With only 10 laps to go, they're really going to start filling each other out to find their weaknesses and their strengths.
Back for the final 10 in a moment. The laps running down. 41 laps have been completed, 42, and they come by this time. Within 22 and a half miles of home and victory lane, who will it be? Boyd is still there. Buddy Baker looks to the inside. The Fords run side by side into turn number 1. The Chevrolet stays on the point. Waldron nestled in fourth. Back they go through the west end of the Speedway. Let's go to Larry Newberg.
Morris Petty, one of the brothers of the Petty clan. Kyle appears to be where he wants to be. Does he have anything left?
He can run real good, but they're doing a lot of jockeying around out there. When they pull out, they get side and side. Nobody wants to pull out because they're going to lose the draft. So I'm sure that Fort's leading the race, but he'll not win the race.
A few laps ago, Kyle did almost lose the draft. He almost got behind. Was there any response from him in the car?
He said the car was running real good if he gets get out by himself.
So it's a wait-and-see posture for Kyle Petty. Meanwhile, the guy who is leading this race, A.J. Foyt, right now his pit area is being visited by Ned Jarrett.
Who has driven stock cars for many years himself very successfully, is the car builder for the car number 14. Dick, you folks are very happy here that he's been out front as long as he has been.
Well, Ned, this is the longest time we've led a stock car race for a long time, and we feel like we're getting back competitive again.
Is he going to be able to stay out there? How about that last lap?
Ned, you got about 4 guys up there, and I believe one of them is as hard-headed as the other. It's going to be a heck of a last lap.
Well, that's the way we see it from the pits here, Ken. It will be interesting.
It shakes down to 6 cars in the lead lap. Back to the start-finish line. There's Richard Petty looking on, watching his son, who is one of those 6. The Pettys have won this race 9 times. The grandfather won it the first year. Pete Hamilton won it for them in 1970. And Richard Petty, of course, the 7-time winner. There are the front 4. And there's the car that they are reporting on the bubble as the Tommy Gale car, number 64 of Ford.
That's the car that we saw dragging his fuel can out of the pit area, so I thought he probably lost a lap at that stage. And our lead bunch now is down to only 6 cars with 5 laps to go, and A.J. Foyt still leads Dale Earnhardt. Buddy Baker still in 3rd spot.
16 cars in the lead lap. In first is Foyt. Now to the inside, moving up. That yellow car sneaking out for second and dropping back was Darrell Waltrip in the 4th position in car number 11. Riding 5th is Kyle Petty, and in the 6th position is Joe Ruttman. And Ruttman on the 98.
One of those lead cars has suddenly gone right off the pace. I think it's the car of Darrell Waltrip. Darrell Waltrip car suddenly lost steam. He's slowing down on the back straight, so that's Darrell Waltrip out of any chance of winning this race. Which leaves the front 3 cars, A.J. Foyt, Dale Earnhardt, and Buddy Baker out on their own, because Darrell's sudden slowing down there really pushed Kyle Petty and Joe Ruttman off the pace. There we see Darrell either rolling or at least driving very slowly down to the pits.
Back to the tri-oval. They put a lap on James Hilton as the laps run down. 46 laps have been completed. The average speed a very slow 147 miles an hour because of 2 caution periods in the event. The first of the twin 125-milers. Can A.J. stay there? He angered his fellow driver in the 24 hours as David Hobbs was there with the Bob Wollek, a French driver, German extraction. He was very upset that A.J. took over the car. Said he was concerned that A.J. couldn't drive a Porsche 935 and he couldn't drive in the rain. So A.J. went out and won the race with the fastest lap of the event in the rain. Waltrip on pit road. Let's go to Larry Newberg.
Darrell rolls in. He radioed from the track. He felt it was an ignition problem. Sometimes it's pretty difficult to tell exactly what's going on underneath the hood of these race cars that are out there at almost 200 miles per hour. But Darrell's suspicion was ignition. Of course, the crew is down in that department now. Remember, this will not ruin Darrell's chances of being in the 500-mile race.
But they come by this time. 48 laps complete, 2 laps to go. 120 miles down. It'll be a 5-mile shootout to decide it. Chevrolet runs in front. A.J. Foyt. Dick Hutcherson, the crew chief. In the second spot is Dale Earnhardt. Bud Moore, the crew chief. And then in the third spot, Buddy Baker, who loves to go fast. The Wood brothers, the operators of that machine. Here they come. Down another time. 2-lap indicators given by Harold Kinder.
And Kyle Petty and Joe Ruttman have really pulled back up onto that leading trio. I thought the leading trio might have got themselves a bit of a gap there, but it wasn't to be. Kyle Petty is going extremely well today, and out of the pits pulls Darrell Waltrip, in fact. Now down just 2 laps. But as it says, it doesn't really matter with him because he qualified at 196 miles an hour, so he's going to be a shoo-in for the race in any event. But it does mean he'll have to start further down the pack.
Indeed he will. He'll be way out in the back of the field in Sunday's Daytona 500. Earnhardt looking down the inside.
Kyle Petty having a go at Buddy Baker there on the inside as they come round turn 4. Lap traffic, just coming up on some lap traffic.
Lap car directly in front of them. They squeeze through.
That's Tommy Gale, I think, in that number.
White flag, 1 lap to go. Tommy Gale overlap back into turn number 1, and now is the time for the maneuver. Kyle Petty, the first to move, down to the inside in turn number 1. Kyle Petty drives inside of Buddy Baker. Baker on the high side, Kyle Petty dropping back. Does Foyt have enough? Can he stay there? He had no time to practice, no time to really get the car massaged and ready for this race. Car that's almost fresh out of the box, but it has the master. Now Earnhardt makes his move going to turn 3. Baker comes with him. Earnhardt into first, Baker into second, Foyt dropping to third. Around they come through 3. Foyt way high on the track. Down to the inside, under A.J. Foyt, moving up is Kyle Petty. Here they come, pounding for the finish, and Kyle Petty leans on A.J. Foyt. Here comes Baker to the outside. Winner's going to be Earnhardt. Checkers flying, and the Fords have done it. They have run slowly in qualifying, but there ain't no holding them back now, David.
There certainly isn't. That car of Dale Earnhardt's has been running very strongly all week, and what a performance he put on today. Poor old A.J. Foyt, of course, leading so many laps, but you just know in the back of your mind that if you lead the penultimate lap in one of these really high-speed races, you almost sealed your fate.
Here's A.J. coming up to congratulate. Let's take a look at the photo finish.
And of course, not only do you drop from first to second, you drop from like first to whatever he was, 4th or 5th.
Let's take a look at the photo finish now. This first 125-mile race. And he said the Fords would not be around, but take a look at this. As they drove to the line, Earnhardt beating Buddy Baker by just that much. What a christening to the redneck high holy days.
Really
and
close.
look at it, looked like in the third spot moved Kyle Petty. Let's look at it
I
again.
think Kyle I think he just probably coat of paint, a real coat of paint.
Shades of his grandfather back in 1959. Let's take a look at that photo for third place. How about that? Kyle Petty takes A.J. Foyt at the line.
By the width of the line about, but then he had lent on A.J. as they came out of turn 4, and there's Joe Ruttman, who sat on the front row, coming in a very close 5th spot.
Final standings in the first 125-mile qualifying race. Dale Earnhardt, son of a great racing driver, goes to victory lane with Buddy Baker second, Kyle Petty third, A.J. Foyt in 4th, and Joe Ruttman of Upland, California, finishing 5th. To victory lane in the first 125-mile Daytona qualifier, and Ned Jarrett.
Well, Dale Earnhardt has pulled this 1983 Ford Thunderbird into victory lane. You can see that smile on his face as he gets his safety paraphernalia unhooked. He'll be coming out in just a moment here. It's been a while since Dale's been in victory lane in a NASCAR Winston Cup race. He won only one race in 1982, and that was at Darlington, South Carolina. And he waves to the crowd. Dale, congratulations on a super run.
Thank you, Ned. That's a pretty tough race.
Yes, it was. You had to be planning all along. You sat there on AJ's bumper for, what, 15 or 20 laps? You knew what you was going to do.
Well, you know, if Buddy or nobody messed me up there, I felt like I had a shot of beating AJ. But, you know, they kept running up there and looked like they wanted to draft past us and try to get by us. And I just kept sticking it to AJ and holding on, you know. The car worked real well. Bud Moore and the crew and Wrangler and everybody did a heck of a job. Winston and Union, Champion, Goodyear, all the people that helped us out. You know, it's just a super day for us.
When you came here, you were really not that optimistic about this. He's kissing his wife here. You were really not that optimistic about this 1983 T-Bird.
Well, I wasn't when I was trying to get qualified. It just didn't want to run as fast as I thought it ought to. And, you know, after we got in the bush race and it ran so well, I felt like, you know, we had a good shot at winning the race here. And, you know, it proved it today.
You got to feel good now going into the Daytona 500 this
year. Well, I do. You know, starting third, you know, it's a lot better than where we were. And, you know, I think if we just have a safe day Sunday and the Lord look over us like it did today, I think we'll be all right.
Hey, that's the winner, Dale Earnhardt. Now, Larry Newber has Kyle Petty, who made a tremendous run at the end.
Kyle, close. You were the first one, or so it seemed, to make your move on the last lap. Is that the way it was planned?
Well, I don't know. I was going to kind of hang around in the race and follow Darrell there at the end, and he had trouble at the end. And when he blew up, I guess, or whatever, he got us separated from the front pack. So really, that blew all strategy. We was just trying to catch back up to the lead pack. And when we went off in 3 over here on the last lap, the two Fords went together and left AJ hung out. And I seen a break to catch their draft a little bit and pull up beside him down coming off 4 here. So I figured it was worth a try to get him back to the line.
Just how close did you come to AJ on the last turn, Kyle?
I don't know. We were pretty close, though. When I got down under him, the wind caught me, and it eased me up into him, towards him a little bit. I don't know if we got into each other, but I headed that way a little bit.
Did you look at each other?
No, I was looking straight ahead. I wasn't wanting to look nowhere.
Quickly, the coach of the team for the day, Mike Beam, did the player do a good job today?
Great.
Ken, I think there are a lot of happy faces down here. This race may portend something very positive for this team for the 500 on Sunday.
Indeed, it might. And the big story here, Dale Earnhardt, who was fined $10,000 in the Busch Clash for disobeying the black flag, comes out here today, and he sure paid attention to everything on the racetrack.
That's more than I earned in the whole year.
Coming up next, the second 125-mile Daytona qualifier with the all-time giant of the Daytona Speedway, the all-time giant of American stock car racing, all rolled into one name, Richard Petty. He'll be facing the two-time Daytona champion, Cale Yarborough, another two-time champion, Bobby Allison, who's had so much misfortune this week, losing 2 cars in serious bad crashes, and the man everybody's talking about who won the Clash of '83, Neil Bonnet. Stand by for the second 125-mile qualifier.
Well, certainly a key word in describing the twin 125s at the Daytona International Speedway, and we have one more to come with names like Yarborough, Allison, and Petty, so stay tuned. This, of course, only one of many CBS Sports, USA Sports events that you can look forward to in the weeks and months ahead. We will have more racing from Daytona, and we will also continue our coverage of the PGA Tour with the first and second round of the Masters, as well as the second round of the TPC, and more events. But before you look forward to that, look forward to the Daytona 500 Sunday, right from here on CBS Sports. Upcoming, the second twin 125 from the Daytona International Speedway, and we'll get to that right after these messages coast to coast on USA.
Second 125-mile qualifying race for Sunday's $1 million Daytona 500 is now on the track. And let's take a look at the starting lineup. Remember, 14 cars will qualify from this event. Jeff Bodine is on the pole. Now, he already has secured a position. He was the second fastest in pole position qualifying day. But he must start this race, and he for sure will be out here to try to work out any bugs in car number 88. Then Neil Bonnet, who won the Clash, starts right beside him. In row number 2, it's Richard Petty in number 43, and Richard Brooks is suited up again. In retirement for several years, he's back. In the third row, it is Tim Richmond of Ashland, Ohio, and Lake Speed driving the car Buddy Baker drove a year ago. He could be a real surprise. Row 4 is Rusty Wallace and Sterling Marlin. Going to row 5, Benny Parsons, who won this race back in 1975, and Jody Ridley in a brand new car. Row 6 is Mark Martin, and comes Lenny Pond on the outside of row 6. Going to row 7, Morgan Shepherd and Bosco Lowe. Then in row 8, it is Bill Scott and Cale Yarborough, who turned a lap at over 200 miles an hour and then turned over on the outside of row 8. Tom Sneva, the great IndyCar champion, starts on the inside of row 9. Terry Labonte's scheduled the next position, but Labonte's car is being pushed back. He's having trouble getting started. What a misfortune for the Billy Hagan car number 44. Going to row 10, Rick Wilson of Bartow, Florida, and Bobby Hillen Jr. out of Midland, Texas. He's only 18 years old, that Hillen. In row 11 is Ronnie Hopkins and Travis Tiller. Then in row 12, Bobby Allison. Misfortune has haunted him all week. He has destroyed 2 automobiles, working his third car. But look out for him now. Then beside him is Jim Sauter. In the 13th row, Rick Newsom and Jimmy Smut-Means out of Alabama. Row 14 is Darrell Sage and Slick Johnson. Going to the 15th row, Bobby Wowak of Villa Park, Illinois, and Rick Baldwin. In row 16 is Rondi Sanders and Joe Milliken. 17th row, Mike Kempton and Jerry Bowman. And in the 18th row, it is Alan J. West and Lowell Cowell. They are saying 2 to green, 2 laps, and they will send this field away. Now, a couple of things to watch in this race. Number 1 will be Lake Speed in the car number 1. He really feels that he can make an impression in this event. It'll be interesting to see if he can pull it off. That car won one of these 125-mile races a year ago with Buddy Baker at the keyboard. Tim Richmond with a brand new team this year. He'll be driving a red and yellow number 27, and there's an interesting story in Tim Richmond because he comes here with a brand new team. Raymond Beadle, 6-time World Drag Racing champion, the Blue Max, has turned to stock car racing, and he starts up in front. He'll be moving from the 5th position. The young man from Ashland, Ohio, who was a former Rookie of the Year at the Indianapolis 500. Of course, Richard Petty. He's had 41 races without a win. Let's go to Ned Jarrett standing by in the pits.
Ken, we're in Terry Labonte's pits. Part of his crew is here. Most of them are up there trying to get that car number 44 cranked. They say it just simply will not start. They don't know the reason why, but they're checking everything on it to see if they can get it started before this race gets the green flag.
A major story in this race will be Richard Petty. Now, Richard Petty has gone through 41 races without a victory. The longest dry spell he had before was 45 races. Then he turned it all around and won the Daytona 500, 1979. Here's the field, another lap precautionary before they start. That 75 car on the outside is the Raymock Racing Team, the Warner Hodgson entry, and that's Neil Bonnet. And in the clash, that $220,000 50-mile, 20-lap race. This car, number 75, came from the last row, from 15th position to win it in the most dramatic clash in its 5-year history. Look out for Neil Bonnet. That is a pistol cocked and ready to fire in car number 75. Now, there you see that 1,600-foot area that comes out of the tri-oval and leads to turn number 1, and it's very deceptive in there, David Hobbs.
It certainly is, especially on a blustery day like today. We've had 125 miles of racing already, so there is a bit of a racing groove down, but still these guys haven't had a lot of practice this week. The weather's been so poor, there's been so much rain, and most of them, of course, haven't had any practice in the draft yet, which of course is what all this NASCAR racing is about. And so we're going to see a lot of finding position.
Still backing Terry Labonte's car up. He has a brand new crew chief this year. Dale Inman has taken over in that car. They lost a car in the clash. It was destroyed in a 3-car shot. He was trying for the lead when Bonnet went for first place in the last lap. He moved the Darrell Waltrip car up a bit, and there was no room for Terry Labonte on the outside, and the car was destroyed in the wall just a few days ago.
And that's one of the reasons, of course, why Dale Earnhardt got fined the $10,000, because he laid smoke and oil all over Terry Labonte, mainly windscreen.
What a story in car number 88. The man on the pole for this race, Jeff Bodine. That car was a red and white number 50 a few days ago. But Bill Stokely has come back to sponsor that car, and number 88 comes out in brand new attire for the Daytona 500 and for the entire 30-race, $8.5 million Winston Cup Series. The second Uno 125-mile qualifying race looks for green with Jeff Bodine, who started racing at 5 years of age in Chemung, New York, where his dad owned the racetrack, and he drove in those little mini cars. He's won over 500 races. Don't discount Bodine from the pole. Right beside him, one of the members of the Alabama gang, Neil Bonnet. And then in row 2, Richard Petty and Richard Brooks. Down to the line they come. And the green is out. Straightaway, Jeff Bodine just nestles that car up there as Neil Bonnet slides back a bit.
And Richard Petty jumped right up there in the second spot, and he and Jeff Bodine have already pulled out about a 6-car gap on the rest of the pack. They're all jostling for position side by side and slowing themselves down.
Neil Bonnet is in third, and riding fourth is Tim Richmond, and they are 3 wide coming off that banking to come around to complete lap number 1. Bodine first, Petty second, Bonnet third, side by side for fourth. On the inside, it is Tim Richmond. While the outside is Lake Speed. Lake Speed in the Haas-Ellington car. Now Richmond on the inside goes to fourth. Bobby Allison begins to make his moves. Allison is beginning to cut up through traffic in a hurry. And Cale Yarborough, he's finding his way up from out back. There he is, screaming through automobiles. There you see him going by Rusty Wallace, former Midwestern champion, and getting trapped. He's caught in there. That's Ricky Rudd directly in front of him in car number 2. And for a moment, 28 has no place to go.
That was Mark Martin in car number 2, who trapped Cale Yarborough, who had a fantastic crash here early on in the week. After
trouble in the tri-oval. We have a car losing an engine. Car number 46 coming unglued. Travis Tiller's car coming into the tri-oval. Slowing down, and does it bring out a caution? It does not, at least to the moment. Track is clear. He's on the inside. It's Bodine in front, Petty in second.
With a tremendous lead over the third spot, Neil Bonham, who's running completely on his own, so therefore with no draft, can only slip backwards unless he's got a lot of horsepower. And then behind him, there's a tremendous jostle for fourth through 44.
Will this be the race? We had another major incident of turn number 2, and caution is out.
2 cars are involved there.
It's car number 58 on the inside. That is the Jerry Bowman car, and I believe the other car involved is the 61 Alan J. West. Here's another car breaking loose. That is car number 53, Tom Sneva.
Tom Sneva, the Indy driver, who'll want to get back on the track. He spun coming to the tri-oval. I don't know what happened as they were under caution already, unless somebody slowed up very abruptly in front of him. And
Sneva rests almost down into turn number 1, but the incident which brought out the caution is on the back straightaway. There is the Travis Tiller car, number 46, idling around the track. I was about to say, would this be the race that broke that record of Cale Yarborough in 1970 of an average speed of 183 miles per hour? But this caution terminates any hope for a record here today, and that old 1970 record has withstood its 26th challenge. Well, let's see what we can find out from this race as we look at replay at how it all began. Here's the first incident, parked now off the second turn.
There we see them spinning out of that notorious second turn. Strong wind blowing in there today. We don't know quite how it started, but we see the 2 cars sliding across that muddy ground. Very lucky here that they weren't turned over in that extremely soft ground. Appearing in a cloud of spray and mud and sand and sliding down.
Well, there you see the cars in the first incident. Now let's take a look and see if we can find out what happened to Tom Sneva out here.
Here we see them coming through the tri-oval. And it looks like Sneva just got his bottom wheel, the left front wheel of the car, onto the flat at the bottom of the tri-oval and just lost control.
Apparently someone slowed down in front of him, got on the binders a bit, and he still had a head of steam. So rather than take the car into somebody's trunk, he took it into the infield.
And he again was lucky he hit that road there, that service road, and it didn't upset the car, which you could have expected it to do with the ground being as soft as it is. And there we see the field now all packed up behind the pace car. Too early, of course, for these guys to make a pit stop for fuel at this time, as they've still got another 100 and odd miles to run.
Alan West and Jerry Bowman involved in the first incident in the second 125-mile qualifier from Daytona. Getting set on the restart with number 88. They have completed 9 laps, 9 of the 50 laps, coming down to complete 10, this time 25 miles deep. 40 laps remaining when they come by, with Jeff Bodine up in front. Second spot is Richard Petty. Maintaining the third position of the line is Neil Bonnet, while in the fourth spot is Tim Richmond, and going fifth is car number 90. That is the junior Don Levy Ford with Richard Brooks, originally out of Porterville, California. Back in the 16th position is Bobby Allison. Allison in car number 22. He's been waging war to get back in this. He started the race in 23rd. The green is out. Bodine Allison leading the pack into the first turn with Richard Petty's Pontiac right there in second place. Waiting in a Chevrolet this year. Neil Bonnet drove a Ford a year ago, and that Chevy number 75 maintaining that third position. There you see the front 5 cars as they come back to full steam. Flashing down the back straightaway into turn number 3. O'Dine in front. Let's watch Bobby Allison as he continues his assault. He's already knocked down the Dick Trickle car. Here he comes after that black automobile of Rick Wilson. He is up to 15th position. He is fighting for 15th at the present time. Number 22, Allison. Bobby Allison, who's had 2 terrible crashes here. One in the Busch Clash, and then one after that in practicing for the Daytona 500. Morgan Shepherd out there in the 02. 62 car, Rick Wilson. There's your leader, Jeff Bodine. Jeff Bodine in the lead, and here's Richard Petty taking a look at first place. Will he take a shot? He does. Petty going to first, Bonnet going to second.
Richard Petty once again leading in his favorite track.
Allison going through cars once again, takes down 3 more. He was 16th when the green came out after that caution period. And he continues to blitz the field. Bobby Allison in car number 22 assaulting that field from the back, trying to get a good qualifying position down the inside through the tri-oval and into turn number 1 and 2. Well, he's Tim Richmond making his move to third.
He's lying in 12th spot now, but he's all on his own. And there's 5 cars in the lead bunch. Then there's another 7 cars, and Bobby Allison is following right behind that lot.
To turn 3, the leaders. There's Bobby Allison now by himself midway down the back straightaway. 12th position for car number 22, Allison. Leaders, turn 4. Petty, Bonnet. Bodine 3rd. Richmond 4th. 5th, Richard Brooks. Brooks with a ride that Jody Ridley had 1 year ago. 6th position is Lake Speed. Moving to the 7th position is Mark Martin. 17 cars says goodbye. Sterling Marlin. Sterling Marlin on pit road. Father Cuckoo Marlin had a lot. His father nearly won this race one time, 125-mile qualifier, and thought the white flag was the checkered flag and slowed up a lap early and said goodbye to that one.
Well, there we see the lead 2 cars. Richard Petty leading Neil Bonnet here. They've got a bit of breathing room over the 3rd place car. In fact, the 3rd group. But they're hounding them down.
Lake Speed back in 6th. Mark Martin is in 7th. Going 8th is Benny Parsons. 9th, Cale Yarborough. Here comes that second group of cars, and there you see Lake Speed leading it with Cale Yarborough in the number 28 car. Remember, he lost a car at over 200 miles an hour in qualifying for the Daytona 500. Upside down and backwards into the wall, and 4 hours later, A.J. Foyt gave him another car, and he ran it in the Clash. And he's been running strong all week. The 2-time Daytona 500 winner.
Richard in 3rd spot, run down the 2 leaders, having a bit of a go there at Neil Bonnet, deciding against it as they go through turns 3 and 4 over the tunnel there. You can see those cars shaking badly as they go over that big bump. There's the second group.
15 laps, 37 miles completed. They come across the start-finish line. And there you see part of the crowd out on a cold, dark day. And into the pits comes Bobby Allison's number 22. He's used up 2 cars already this week. Bobby Allison there to Larry Newbert.
Near as we can tell, we were just beginning to talk with Gary Nelson. As near as we can tell, this is a routine and planned pit stop. They have no choice in the matter here today. Allison has to charge from lap number 1 to lap number 50. As you have pointed out, he has to finish as high as he possibly can. They're changing left side rubber. They have topped off the tank. They definitely plan on going the rest of the distance now after they get out of the pits this time. Now they've made a late decision. They're going to put the car up on the right side. This is a lengthy pit stop, Ken. I think it's going to be very costly for Bobby Allison and crew chief Gary Nelson.
Allison going 1 lap down. Bobby Allison, a number 22, going a lap down. 34 laps to go. 16 complete. Petty in front.
Well, that was the most extraordinary pit stop for a man like Bobby Allison and that crew, because they really just completely took a massive chance, I think, at coming in this early on the green. All it needs now is a caution, and everybody else will make their pit stop, and he'll stay that lap down.
In the clash, Neil Bonnet, in just 20 laps, came from 15th. Whoa, Petty way high in 3 and 4. And on the last lap, car number 75 made a shot down the backstretch under Waltrip and won the clash. And there's Bonnet just resting in second. Trouble in the back straightaway. Car number 88 has hit the wall.
That is Jeff Bodine. In a very dangerous place there, right in the middle of the back straight.
I believe that's Darrell Sage's car. Darrell Sage midway down the back straightaway.
Oh, 86, yeah. Can't read from it.
Darrell Sage's car has come to rest midway down the back straightaway, tries to get it fired, field coming by. Boy, the second turn is taking its toll out here in these twin 125-mile qualifiers.
It seems to be giving the people running from the midfield on down most of the problem. But the big problem here now is poor old Bobby Allison just had that 36-second pit stop on the green, lost a lap, and now the whole rest of the field is going to flood in here into the pits and have a regular routine stop, and Bobby Allison is going to stay one lap down. It was a very, very long shot, quite frankly, to have a stop on green in this race, quite honestly.
We'll try to get a report as to what happened. It looked like a tire might have equalized in the car. 18 laps will be complete this time by. 32 to go, 45 miles down.
And the whole field charges down pit road.
Feeding time for the Elephants here. Car number 43, Petty. Let's go to the pits once again. Larry Newbert.
Position along on pit road. Petty comes to a stop. He'll take advantage of this caution flag. You see complete service being issued to Richard Petty. Ned Jarrett at the other end of pit road.
Jeff Bodine was in for a very, very quick pit stop. Then we're surprised. Four of these drivers are not changing tires. They looked at the tires on Jeff Bodine's car and sent him right on his way. Now let's back to Larry Newbert.
Well, they've already serviced the starboard side of Richard Petty's car. Now they're working on the port side. This is, believe it or not, a relatively leisure pit stop. We've got a caution flag here, and the Petty crew is taking full advantage of all these precious seconds that are being provided them at a relatively leisure pace.
Let's look at what happened to the runner from Tennessee, Darrell Sage, in number 86, as you see his car resting down on the back side of the track. Way on the right of the frame is where it begins, David.
There we see them coming off that treacherous turn 2, which has already caught out at least 4 cars. Starts to come away from the wall, grabs a handful of opposite lock, and bounces down that outside wall without collecting anybody else, which is extraordinarily lucky. Maybe his hood was already coming up even when the accident started. Maybe that's what made him lose it, because his hood flew off before he hit anything.
The Chevrolet of Darrell Sage resting midway down the backstretch here at Daytona. He had qualified at 188 miles an hour and had started in the 27th position, and he will not be in the 25th annual Daytona 500. When they come by, green will come out, and they will have completed 22 laps, 55 miles, 28 laps, 70 miles to go in the second 125-mile qualifying race for the richest stock car race in the world, the Daytona 500's 25th anniversary program comes Sunday. Back they come to the line, and there you see on the outside, Cale Yarborough taking a shot as they line him up. Cale is on his way, pulling around Tom Stevens. Snuck up on the outside and gunned him down. Richard Petty and Tim Richmond, meanwhile, back out of that 19th and 20th spot, move up one. Now they are 18th and 19th as they take a bite out of number 32, Bosco Lowe, and whip by him. Up in front, there's your leader. It is Cale Yarborough, but the lead still is trying to take the lap back is Bobby Allison, and Neil Bonnet comes along with it. Oh, and he just touched him. The Alabama gang, they're supposed to be friends. Bobby Allison and Neil Bonnet.
That's his mentor he's running into there. Now all Bobby Allison's got to do is go around one more time and catch this lot up again. He can win this race. What Bobby Allison needs now, like he needs oxygen, of course, is another caution while he is where he is now in front, which will give him his lap back.
6 cars in the lead draft, plus a lapped car. And there you see number 90, the blue car down on the inside, dropping through and trying to pick up the spot. That's Richard Brooks as they head down the back straightaway. Richard Brooks trying to fight his way through with leg speed, and there is Neil Bonnet, the new leader of the race, trying to put Allison a lap down.
And Cale Yarborough coming up in the second spot, also underneath Bobby Allison.
Remember, Bobby Allison, number 22, is on the tail end of the lap. Now he is 2 positions back and is left with those front 2 cars. 24 laps complete, this time by 60 miles. Richard Brooks falls back a bit in the Junior Dunleavy Ford. Halfway next time by. Richard Petty still attacking, having to come from well back now after that pit stop.
And Richard Petty and Tim Richmond are making a fantastic run through the field.
There are the leaders. Neil Bonnet. Last win for him, the World 600, Charlotte, North Carolina, last Memorial Day when he drove for the Wood Brothers. Now with the Warner Hodgson Raymond team. There's Richard Petty, running by his lonesome for a moment, trying to find somebody to whip on. And he finds them.
There's Richmond coming into the picture just behind Richard Petty, although Richard Petty's put a bit of daylight between himself and Richmond.
Petty is closing on Rick Wilson of Marshall, Florida. So they go back into turn number 1, halfway as you saw in the event. Leader is Neil Bonnet. 0-2, Dick Trickle, the great Midwestern driver, has just pitted his car. The action is on the back straightaway. It's Bonnet in front, Cale Yarborough in second.
Bodine having to go down the outside there, on the inside rather. Takes away third spot. That's as far as he can go.
And here comes Petty closing up. Petty closes on number 62, Rick Wilson, directly in front of him. And car number 72, Rusty Wallace, the Midwesterner. Here are the leaders once again. Back in the tri-oval, completing 26 laps. 24 to go. Bonnet in front.
Dick Brooks, after a year's layoff, is hanging on very well to that lead group in the Junior Dunleavy Ford.
Richard Petty going after Richard Petty, number 43, going after Rusty Wallace and the 72 and the 62 car of Rick Wilson. 0-2 came back on the track. Dick Trickle, you see him there, being lapped by the front 5. Black flag, they say, a consultation flag may be coming out. We've got another terrible crash. A serious crash again, and turn number 2 has claimed another victim, and there are still cars spinning and crashing. Car number 51 being torn up was Lenny Pond of Ettrick, Virginia. Back to the line they come with car number 75. Bonnet leading it to the back to the line as they race to the flag. What a bad break for Lenny Pond. If he had any luck at all, it would be bad. And another car destroyed is the 72 car of Rusty Wallace, who had been running right there in front of Richard Petty. Right in front, and Wallace's car was the Easter Seals car, entered by the Ramada Inn people for this event. It's part of a campaign, a special campaign to raise money for Easter Seals. Rusty Wallace twice was the United States Auto Club champion, and Rusty's car looks absolutely destroyed, as bad as the earlier incident. And I think we're going to have an opportunity to see exactly what happened here. And they say that the initial reports are that it has been a very, very hard crash on Rusty Wallace. Well, and here's still another car losing control. Well, down here on pit road, just pulled across the grass and came in. Car number 69, which is Mike Kempton. Rusty Wallace, handsome kid out of the Midwest. And let's look at exactly what happened here. Now, there you see Wallace in the 72, Rick Bartow right behind him, and Richard Petty next. They're out of turn 2. Is there contact? Car starts to drift and go away. It may have been collected by Rick Wilson.
I think he just got tagged at the back there. The windscreen pops out there. Richard Petty just misses it.
Windshield comes out of the car.
As it goes backwards, it lifts the back of the car up.
And he's floating backwards through the air, similar to what we saw Johnny Anderson do a few years ago.
And also Connie Saylor. What happens is, of course, these cars have quite a bit of rake from the front. They're much lower at the front than the back. And when it turned round and went down the road backwards, the air got under the air gets under the trunk and just lifted it up.
Now, from another angle, here is another angle of what happened. You can see him sliding in and getting caught and flipping backwards. upside down, and then those hard, nasty, sidewinding rolls that bite you.
Well, the car just suddenly did a complete reverse roll there. It's spinning one way, then it suddenly stops and reverse spins.
Now let's take a look at the second incident which happened, which involved Lenny Pond in the car number 51. And car number 42, I believe, is involved in this. Slick Johnson's car.
I think this is all as a result of that first crash, of course, taking avoiding action and right into Lenny Pond's door. Thank goodness these NASCAR cars are constructed the way they are, with the door bars. They're built extremely strongly, these cars. In most forms of racing, if you were hit in the door like that, it would be extremely serious.
Second serious incident in the 125-mile qualifying races. We are still waiting for a hospital report on Bruce Jacoby, who crashed in the first 125-mile place in almost the identical spot where number 72 has come to rest. The latest word we have from the Halifax Hospital in Daytona Beach is that Bruce Jacoby is in critical condition and is undergoing surgery at this time. Undergoing tests is the late word we have. Waiting now for any word on Rusty Wallace after a similar incident coming out of turn number 2, which has claimed victim after victim in these twin 125-mile qualifying races. Neil Bonnet continues to lead. Cale Yarborough second, Bodine in third, Brooks is fourth, Sneva fifth, and Richard Petty is mighty lucky. 31 laps into the second 125-mile qualifying race at the Daytona Speedway. And as you can see, the back straightaway takes on the complexion of a battlefield. Take a look at what just happened here moments ago to bring out the caution which we are now under. That is Rusty Wallace directly in front of Rick Wilson. It looks like Wilson is in contact. The Wallace car gets sideways. Richard Petty is right there. And he threads the needle. He just barely gets through.
The windscreen pops out of Rusty Wallace's car there. He gets behind the scoreboard, hits the grass. The car lifts a little bit, the air gets under it, and it's just like a 4,000-pound leaf being blown down with a 200-mile-an-hour air as it gets under the car and gyrates through that soft ground.
From the other angle now, you see the car just getting inside and then taking that awful roll the wrong way as the wind caught it, and then sends it into that series of sidewinders that gives us this for remaining.
And this, of course, set off a chain reaction with a car swerving to avoid him there. Lenny Pond trying to avoid him being T-boned. Very lucky there that he wasn't injured at all.
One of the two drivers involved in that second shot are standing by, and let's go to Ned Jarrett with him now.
Slick Johnson from Florence, South Carolina, the car number 51. Slick, what happened over there?
Rusty Wallace, something was tearing up on his car. He blew the engine or something, and the hood flew off or either the roof, and it started coming down in front of Lenny, and Lenny got on the brakes to keep it from hitting him, and he turned sideways and went into the wall, and I hit Lenny.
But you and Lenny, of course, are okay.
Yeah, both of us are all right.
And Ken, we're standing by the track hospital once again here. They have taken Rusty into the hospital here for observation, and as you saw, his car was damaged very, very badly, and we hope that the report will be good on him. He was here for a good cause to run in the Daytona 500. Proceeds from a special promotion would go to the Easter Seals. His sponsor, Ramada Inns, were participating in that. Now back to you.
Rusty Wallace was here a year ago, finished 37th with engine failure. Rusty Wallace, a driver who Roger Penske has been very, very high on. In fact, he ran Atlanta for him and did a magnificent job a few years back. We are back under green. There are 33 laps now complete in the second 125-mile qualifier. 82.5 miles are down, and Neil Bonnet finds himself on the front end of that freight train going down that very, very persnickety back straightaway today. It has really taken a lot out of this field and out of the first 125-mile qualifier. There you see Cale Yarborough running second, Bodine in third, and it is a replay of the start with car number 90, Richard Brooks, threading his way back up to fourth position. Notice that Richard Petty is back up in the hunt, too. Car number 53 lies fifth on the field, Tom Sneva. In the sixth position is Benny Parsons, and up to seventh moves Richard Petty. Petty had been 20th on the restart after that first caution period. Have one car running slowly down to the inside of the track, and looks like it will be a retiree.
Richard Petty there following Tom Sneva, the IndyCar driver who had an incident here earlier on when he got on some oil.
Back with the leaders. backstretch Bonnet in front. Cale Yarborough right there knocking on the door. There is your leader, Neil Bonnet. He is as brave and as determined a race driver as there is, and here comes Petty. Richard Petty, the 7-time champion, down to the inside, putting Bobby Allison a lap down.
And right behind Richard Petty is Benny Parsons, who started off pretty well down the field in that car number 55, also looking for a good finish in this race to make sure he gets into Daytona 500.
Desperation time. If you want to make the $1 million Daytona 500, you have to do it here. But it must be added pressure with the incidents we've seen thus far today.
Well, it can't be doing them much good. Their mentality must be going through it, because every time something happens, it seems to happen up there at turn 2. And they must be getting a bit worried. Dick Brooks making a great run down the inside there in the Junie Dunleavy Ford. Old Junie will be chomping on his cigar in the pits there, getting quite excited, I imagine, at this stage. Richard Petty high there.
Petty up on the outside the 4th as Richard Brooks lost the draft and fell back. 14 laps to go this time. And here comes Petty. Crowd on their feet as the all-time king of Daytona, Richard Petty, winner of 195 Grand National races, second to none, moves his way through the field. 41 races without a win. Will he change it here? Petty moves the Pontiac into 3rd. Chevrolet now running 1 and 2.
That car of Richard Petty is proving to be particularly competitive this afternoon.
On the inside, Petty going for first. Petty goes under Cale Yarborough, goes under Neil Bonnet, and Richard Petty sails the number 43 out into the lead. To the tri-oval, Richard Petty, who will square off to battle his own son in the Daytona 500 if he can keep it all together here. Goes back into turn number 1. Bonnet takes a look at the inside. Richard Petty, the amazing, the incredible race driver that he is, one of the finest people in the sport of motor racing, on the back straightaway. Trouble at turn 1. Car spinning, number 19 out of control, landing down on the inside. It's Ronnie Sanders. That car was scheduled for Dick May to start, and they made a substitution. Ronnie Sanders getting the thrill of his life.
Also,
caution is out again. Race back to the stripe. Here they come to the line. Charging back under caution. Petty will come across first. Bonnet in second. Yarborough 3rd. Modine in 4th. Richard Brooks in 5th.
Well, Bobby Allison could do one of those cautions to come out at a slightly more fortuitous moment for him to get that lead, that lap back that he's already lost.
1 year ago, everything went for Bobby Allison correctly. This year, absolutely nothing going right for him. Some days are diamonds, some days are stone. Let's look at what happened to Ronnie Sanders here.
Well, he was one of the lucky ones today. He hits that soft ground, and the car just continues to spin, slides across the very soft infield, hits the road racing track, just bounces over it, and carries on spinning, and nothing happens to the car or to him, luckily. And that just seems to be the luck of the draw in motor racing. Sometimes it's your day, like you said before about Bobby Allison, and sometimes it's not.
Ronnie Sanders' Buick coming to rest. That must bother a little, though, that it is the luck of the draw so many times by which a race and sometimes your life can be decided.
Well, I suppose if you really thought about it too much, it wouldn't be very, very good for you. But luckily, most drivers tend to think of, obviously, like soldiers and policemen, that it's never going to happen to them. And once you start to think about it, of course, you'll be finished. Into the pits comes Tim Richmond, number 27. This is his second stop. He must have a problem. The car doesn't need a stop at this stage of the race, putting some gas on.
So Richard Petty is out in front in one of the 125-mile qualifying races here today. The question is, can he stay there to the finish? 10 laps remain in the second 125-mile qualifier here at Daytona. A wreck-strewn day. Blackened caution has just been given to one of the cars on the track. And let's look again at that war zone that has become this racetrack today. There you see the remains of the car number 72, which was just destroyed in a horrific crash.
It's very rare that you see these NASCAR cars torn up as badly as that car and also Bruce Jacoby's car earlier on today. They're so strong.
But note how the roll cage is still fully up on car number 72.
The worst thing that happened to that car was that as it started to spin, it spun one way because of the air. As soon as it hit the floor, it reversed the rotation of the spin.
To Ned Jarrett.
Ken, we're still standing by the hospital to get a report on Rusty Wallace, and one of his crew members just came out and said that Rusty has been moving around a little bit, and he was very muddy when they brought him in, and they're cleaning him up now, but he actually has been talking a little bit, so that is good news to this point, and we hope to have further good news later on.
Well, that is good news. That's really nice to hear, and again, it just demonstrates the incredible integrity of these NASCAR rules, the way these cars are built. I mean, they race at extremely high speeds, and they get away with, you know, unbelievable crashing.
Here they come with 7 laps to go. Petty is in front. Here's Bobby Hillen trying to qualify, 18 years old, out of Midland, Texas. He's on the bubble right now. He's given up a college scholarship in football to try to make it. And there goes Tim Richmond by him, taking him out of the race for the moment. Cale Yarborough down, putting that lap on Bobby Allison as he wants to go up and hunt for first place. Richard Petty in the lead. Pontiac first, Chevrolet second, Chevrolet third. Fourth at the present time is the 88 car of Bodine, and the first 4 running fifth on the field. Front 3 cars getting a little bit of a break, about 20 car lengths back to the next competitor in that active lap.
Well, the front 4 cars really have made a bit of a break. They're all staying in line, and then the next 4 cars are running down side by side, and they'll just continue to lose airspace as they do that, because they lose the draft so badly. Until they get back in line, they can forget it.
And they come by, 5 laps to go. They'll be completing the 45th this time by. Out just right. Rick Wilson saying goodbye to this race. Number 62, nearly involved in that incident with Rusty Wallace. Turn 2. Richard Petty bears down. There's that second pack that is running side by side and letting the leaders get away from them.
Jeff Bodine is leading that second pack. He started off on the front row of this particular race, and he's been hounded down by Mark Martin, who started in 11th spot, so he's done very well for himself today. Had a bad qualifying speed, or not a very good one, so he wants to stay right where he is.
Cale Yarborough scampers down the inside, goes under the lap car of Bobby Allison, goes for number 75, can't make it, falls back. And he'll single file it once again down the front straightaway. Better than 190 miles per hour through here. They make it look so easy. These, the masters of this incredibly quick and sometimes frightfully dangerous game. Petty in front. Now let's take a look at that second pack.
Richard Brooks has worked his way back to the front of that again, followed by Mark Martin. Jeff Bodine's dropped to 3rd spot in there, but that makes him 7th overall, but he's still good for the race.
There's that second pack as you see the interval between the first group and the second group.
It's about 2 seconds.
Watching those leaders down into the turn. Bonnet loves to pass going into 3. He just puts his foot on the floor and flat foots it in there. Let's see if that'll be the strategy. Waltrip tried to hold him before, and he had his problems there. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
We're standing by with Maurice Petty, brother of Richard. Maurice, he's out front now. Will he try to stay there, or will he try to drop back and try to slingshot on the last lap?
No, we're going to try to stay out front all the way. If they get by us, it'll be because they just flat out run us.
That's the way it is here in the Petty pits, Ken.
Time and laps and effort all running out. Now this is the spot. Bonnet loves it. I doubt that Petty will give it to him. There's that little hole on the inside, and you heard one of his crew members say they had a problem making the car handle now, and if he can't drop inside, he dropped down inside, and then he wrestled with Darrell Waltrip for the Busch Clash lead. Let's see what will happen here. There is Cale beginning to try the outside. And there's the block thrown by Bonnet.
Well, of course, the other thing you've got to remember is that when these guys go for the gap, you've always got to assume the guy behind you hasn't already filled that gap up. And Cale Yarborough there, number 28, is lurking in 3rd spot, so it's not going to be easy for Neil. Both sides of him are incredibly competitive people, and it's not going to be easy for him to just pick his spot. Cale Yarborough, in fact, trying to block him off there, but drops back into line.
This is where you have to drive defensively as well as offensively. You've got to look out for that man behind you, and you've got to shoot down the guy in front of you.
Richard taking a low line going in there to keep Neil Bonnet back, letting the car come up high so it doesn't tighten up too much as he comes into the tri-oval for the last time. This will be the 1 lap to go.
White flag.
The white flag is out.
The man that they could be in control here is Cale Yarborough. He can take his shot. Where will he want to take it? How will he run it? When Terry Labonte came from third, Waltrip was moved up when Bonnet took the lead, and Waltrip in the clash gave Terry Labonte nothing but the concrete on the outside of 3 and 4. Last time, down into 3. This is where Bonnet likes to make his move. He stirs up his fortitude, and he makes the dive to the inside. Bonnet finds the hole. He goes into first place. At nearly 200 miles an hour, they take that shot. Neil Bonnet is in front. Richard Petty is in second. Cale Yarborough is in third. Here they come the line. Richard Petty is coming back on the outside. It is Yarborough on the inside, but the winner is Bonnet. And there is a spin just at the end. Bobby Hillen spun just at the end of the event. Bobby Hillen, fortunate that it is nothing more than just a spin. What a remarkable finish. 3 cars side by side across the line, and Neil Bonnet continues to wrestle number 75 across by inches here on the Daytona Speedway in 1983. Let's look at this incredible photo finish in this 125-mile qualifier.
And I'm sure that lapped car that you see at the top of the picture there, in fact, spoilt Cale Yarborough's final plan. He had to go at Richard Petty, but it didn't quite come off. Neil Bonnet won the race. Richard Petty just half a door length behind him. Cale Yarborough right there with him. But I think Cale's plans were foiled just at that last inch by that lap car.
Wait till Sunday. That's what Richard Petty and Cale Yarborough are saying right now. Magnificent maneuver. They said there was a handling problem, and that's right when you don't want to have a handling problem, going down into turn number 3, because that's where you want everything working perfectly to get you through there if you want to shoot your shot. So Neil Bonnet has won the second 125-mile qualifier and becomes a serious favorite to win Sunday's Daytona 500. Bobby Allison credited with 17th. He'll have to stand on his time for the Daytona 500. But standing tall in victory lane, one of the members of the Alabama gang, as tough a race driver as that racing state has ever produced, Neil Bonnet brings the Warner Hodgson Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS back to victory lane at Daytona for the second time in a week, and Ned Jarrett is standing by to have a conversation with this young man who has continued to amaze everyone with his strength, his courage, his tenacity, and his smarts in a race car. Having a little trouble unhitching. That's been the only problem he's had thus far today. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Well, Neil Bonnet, he got into the act in and had no problem in getting that window screen unfastened. He gets his driving gloves off now. He already has the safety belt and the shoulder harness unfastened. Now his helmet comes off. Of course, being in victory lane here at the Daytona International Speedway twice within the last 4 days, significant amount of money, $50,000 in the Busch Clash, and now $18,000 here today. Here he waves to the crowd and gets a big handshake, big hand from the folks here in Victory Lane. Neil, congratulations.
Ned, I tell you what, these boys, Bob Rahilly, Butch Mott, and Jake Elder, Warner Hodgson, them put out some effort with this race car, and it's showing up right now. The car just runs super. I was sitting there leading the race. I knew I couldn't win the race from the lead, so I had to back the whole pace. I had to slow the whole line of cars down. I saw Richard coming. I felt like that's the man I need to be following because he's going to the front.
Well, you got that thing down pat now, that last lap deal.
Well, I'm going to try one from the front next time. I believe this thing will do it from the front, but I just wanted to be careful.
Well, Neil, these Chevrolets with that slope front end on it, apparently they're handling well, better than you expected maybe when you came to Daytona?
Ned, I tell you what, the Chevrolet people did one heck of a job with this race car, but I'm a little loose in the corner right now. When I was leading the race there, I was a little bit loose. We're going to have to do a little bit more work. You know, the crew hasn't stopped working on the car since we've been here, and we won 2 of the races, so we're going to keep working and get the thing ready for the 500.
Well, here's a young lady that's very happy, his wife Susan, in Victory Lane, and the traditional kiss from the wife Susan. I know that you're very happy too.
Yes, I am.
Well, Ken, that's the happy scene here in Victory Lane.
Let's go to more unhappy news for the moment. Let's see what we can get for a report from the field hospital here at Daytona. Larry Nuber standing by.
Well, Ken, the news is good. I'm standing with James Hilton, of course, another one of the drivers who competed here this afternoon. James just came out of the hospital, and the report on Rusty is pretty positive right now, isn't it?
Well, I'm not a doctor, and I don't claim to be, but I happened to be in there when they brought Rusty in. And all his vital signs are good. The doctors talked to us about it, and the two brothers were in there. Have already talked to Rusty. And, you know, he's got some injuries, but he's going to make it, and everything's good, and they're just taking him for a checkup. And they said he'll be released pretty soon. He's not really that hurt.
We don't really have an update officially on Bruce Jacoby. The information that we do have is that apparently there are definite internal injuries. He is still in the intensive care unit. And as Ken Squire mentioned earlier on this broadcast, he is listed officially in critical condition.
We'll take a look at the final standings in the second 125-mile race and put together for you how some of this Daytona 500 will go on Sunday with David Hobbs after these messages.
The twin 125s at Daytona for 1983, a curiosity. Let's take a look at the finish first. In round number 1, Dale Earnhardt defeated Buddy Baker coming across the line with Kyle Petty, a major surprise in third, A.J. Foyt finishing in fourth. Then in the second 125-mile qualifying race, what an amazing finish as car number 75, Neil Bonnet, just barely etched out a win over Richard Petty in second and Cale Yarborough in third as they came across side by side. As you look at this track, David Hobbs, now, and you look at that battle zone, that war field of the back straightaway, those marks out there were exclamation points in this race to some awful moments in racing. And now they become question marks as we look forward to the Daytona 500. More weather such as we've had could create some awful incidents, I would imagine.
Well, I think that today's weather, the weekend's weather, has been a major factor in today's accident-strewn race. I said at the beginning of the race that I thought turn 2 was going to be the tricky spot because there is a very strong wind blowing right into it, which does upset these cars. At that stage, they're doing about 200 miles an hour. When they get into the grass off the road, of course, it's very soft and it's inclined to turn them over. And we've had 6 or 7 major crashes this afternoon, 2 of which, of course, were extremely serious. Hopefully, before the 500, they'll get a bit more practice. They'll get a bit more time to put down a racing groove on this track. There's another race tomorrow. And this should all help to make Sunday's race a little bit more sanitary than today's.
As we leave you today, it seems rather positive on Rusty Wallace's condition. And we note from the Halifax General Hospital in Daytona that Bruce Jacoby is still listed in critical condition. Among those key marquee players for the Daytona 500 who did not do well in the twin 125s, Darrell Waltrip, as we have it, and this is unofficial, would be sequestered in the 31st position to start this race. And note this, Bobby Allison 35th and 37th for Terry Labonte. That means that those runners must get out and get going early, and there's going to be even more pressure on this 25th Daytona 500 than we've seen before.
Well, they do have to get going early, and of course what they really have to pray for is that some hero between them and the front doesn't cause an obstruction or a crash which either involves them or puts them even further behind, i.e. lose another lap in the very early going.
Well, that's the story from here for Ned Jarrett and Larry Nuber in the pits, and David Hobbs. I'm Ken Squire, and let's get some final thoughts from Al Troutwig.
Thank you, Ken Squire. It is for sure that these race drivers, the Grand National drivers here at Daytona, race with great speed, and they also race with great danger. We had 2 chilling reminders of that fact here this afternoon. But we also had 2 great, thrilling Daytona finishes, the kind of finishes that has made this racetrack a famous mark in auto racing. But that's a story of the twin 125s. We look forward now to a fabulous Daytona 500 on Sunday. Dale Earnhardt and Neil Bonnet, the winners here this afternoon. For the fabulous CBS Sports crew and USA Sports, I'm Al Troutwig saying good night from Daytona. The Daytona Twin 125s have been brought to you in part by Levi's Menswear, makers of Levi's Action Slacks. By Mobile Detergent Gasoline, it treats dirt like dirt. And by Toyota, who reminds you that it's a good feeling to buckle up for safety.